Well, it's been pretty much a week since I've had ambition to go ahead and post anything. So I wanted to go ahead and do a quick film today showing you what I've been doing for the last week because there's been a fair amount of things going on, but no one of them was worth recording an entire episode. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of a summary. Right now, I'm out in the backyard, so let me walk around the garden and talk about some of the things that are going on. We'll start out here in bed 8. You can see the popsicle sticks sticking up. These are radishes. I put those in here just the other day. Took about 15 minutes because there's only a couple of strips there. The reason I didn't put more in is because really I'm planning to put something else in that bed. I think peppers, but we'll go ahead and see. You can tell that I've done a lot of raking already and there's a lot more to go. You'll notice here I've placed all the stepping stones. Paver stones are what they are, but I'm using them individually instead of as a patio pavement, which is what they started out as. And I've surrounded them by gravel to give a nice walking surface. You can see I kind of ran out of gravel before I got very far, but the stones go further around the corner. So we'll go ahead and follow those around real quick. I even put a stone off to the side to lead up to the stairway, and going around the corner here toward the gate. I did not finish it. I've got a pile of stones over there and I need to drag some more out, but I do have a little path going over to where the faucet is for when I need to use that. But this whole area needs to be cleaned up. I've got a big pile of sand and gravel over there that I'll be using to finish off the bed. Going up here, you can see I've been raking up a lot of leaves, but there's a lot more to go. But up there in the upper bed, bed 1, this morning I just went ahead and put strawberries. I don't know if you can see there's a stick in there marked strawberry. It's just an identifier to tell me what kind it is. Of the 5 beds that I planted strawberries in, I've got 5 different varieties, a different variety in each bed. The rest of these beds are still having to undergo maintenance. You can see up here in bed number 3, we have all the garlic that I planted last fall is really starting to shoot up. So I'm hoping that I'll be getting some garlic this year. And let's go up to the patio really quick. And I have my Brunswick cabbage, which I potted up into larger pots for the next week or so until it goes into the ground, because it was getting a little tight in little seed trays. That one tray and 4 more of them over here. So I ended up with way more Brunswick cabbage than I'm going to need. So I'll probably end up giving it away to the neighbors. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to be doing this afternoon, I haven't started it yet, but I've got to go through most of these large pots from last year had peppers and tomatoes and so forth in them. I need to empty the soil in those pots into the compost bin to let that soil rest for a year and mix some new nutrients in. This pot is just going to be thinned out. This is all parsley and other herbs. I'm not really sure. My wife is in charge of those, so I'm going to let her determine what needs to be done. We'll get that cleaned up. Well, let me go ahead and go on over and we'll take a look at the other strawberry bed. There's nothing really going on with any of them yet, just patches of dirt. This is bed 14 now. I spent a good chunk of time over a couple of days finishing the wall around it and laying blocks. I'm shy a few of the top blocks. You can see I'm missing one on the other end, and I've had to steal some from over here on this wall, but we'll get those eventually. And I don't know if you can see any of these strawberries peeking out because there's no green on any of them, but you can see the stick, as you can for these other beds here, 11, 12, and 13. But we're going to go ahead and go to work on the compost bin now, filling in, emptying those big pots and getting them cleaned up so that we'll have them ready to use here when all the seedlings that I've got are ready to go into the ground, which will be pretty much another month, but we're getting there. Today is the first really nice day we've had in a while. So I'm going to flip this around and get it where I'm not in the sun. Don't need the different line. And you can kind of watch as I go. I've got my compost bin here. The bin on this end has my compost that I had left from last year, and the other one is empty. So we're going to go ahead and start dumping those bins in the other compost side, and then I'll be refilling them out of this side when I'm ready to go after I get them cleaned out. Some old man. Well, it's the next day now, and I've got most of the things that I need to put into the compost pile. As you can see behind me, the four planters that I dumped in here yesterday, I've spread it out into a layer, and now I'm going to add some other things. I'm going to start by emptying this rotating composter, which I hadn't used an awful lot, but it does have some stuff in it, so I want to dump that out and combine it in with the soil. Definitely don't need it in here anymore. And in addition to that, I'm just going to put some leaves in, and then more of these. Let me mix the other compost in a little bit. And yes, I did go ahead and take the time to drag the things over, so I'm not dragging them on camera. that's the beginning of my compost for the coming year. I'll probably be throwing another bag full of dried leaves on here as I clean up the rest of the yard. And also, as I mow the lawn, I'll be putting more than a few bags of green grass clippings in here. So we'll probably be layering the dry leaves, grass clippings, and also kitchen scraps for things like potato peels and so forth. Anything any vegetable waste, I should say, and coffee grounds as I generate those. All that can go into the compost bin. And things I want to avoid are things like oranges, orange peels. Meat is definitely a no-no for this kind of composting. And all that stuff will go in here, or a little later in the season, once I get this to where I want it to be, I'll be putting the kitchen waste in the rotating composter, along with some leaves to give it some bedding. But I'm actually having more success with this compost than I am with the rotating composter. What I have over here on this side is the stuff from last year's pile. It's actually settled down quite a bit. After I clean out my pots, I'll be refilling them with this stuff, along with various additives, fertilizers and so forth, to enliven the soil a little bit more. But that's where I'm going with this stuff. I still have 2 big pots up on the deck. They're even bigger than the ones I emptied here, and I'm not going to move them. I'm just going to go through, turn the soil up, get rid of any weeds in them. And I've decided just today that what I want to do is plant trees in those planters. And the kind of trees I'm talking about are things that aren't going to grow in this area. Maybe an avocado tree, maybe even a citrus of some sort. We'll have to go ahead and do some research on it. There's no rush, because a tree is going to take years to actually grow up to where it will fruit. And so if it takes me a few months to actually study the matter, that's what I'll do. And then in the winter, those things can move inside. I know that they're heavy. I'll just have to get an extra set of hands to pick them up. I do have each of those are on a little roller platform. So once, except for getting them into the house, I can move them around fairly easily on a flat surface. Just not down here in the garden, which is why I decided not to do it today with the other ones. Well, I wanted to get this together with the film that I took yesterday, and get it out so people can see what I'm doing in the garden. That's pretty much all I'm going to do today, because I got to get cleaned up and get to work on other things in the house. This is some old man encouraging you to go ahead and leave me a comment if you know anything about composting. You want to let me know something I'm doing wrong. Go ahead and hit the like button, bell notification, and by all means, if you aren't already, subscribe to the channel. This is some old man signing off.